What kind of helmet does a student need when riding a motorbike while commuting to and from campus? The helmet is not the only piece of gear they may need, but it's such an important piece of equipment that I feel like it warrants its own video. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bike Like a Dog. As always, be sure you've liked and subscribed before you leave. In this video, we're continuing our journey into the world of motorcycling as a method for commuting on or to a college campus. We're now ready to discuss the first and possibly most expensive piece of equipment you'll need: helmets. I'm devoting an entire video to helmets for a couple of reasons. First, it's the only piece of equipment a college student may legally be required to wear. Secondly, this helmet is the only piece of equipment likely to save your life. While other equipment may help prevent or minimize physical injury, the helmet protects your brain. As organs go, that one's pretty important. A helmet should last all the way through college, since the lifespan of helmets is about 5 years. So choose one you'll be happy with for 5 years. For someone new to motorcycling, trying to pick a helmet can be intimidating. So we're going to try to break it down into the most important parts of the process. First, do not buy a used helmet. While a helmet should last 5 years, mistreatment or involvement in an accident can shorten that life. Don't do it. Helmets just aren't that expensive. You can find brand new quality lids for under a couple of $100. I just went through the Revzilla helmet finder, specifying no preference in every category other than less than or equal to $200. It returned over 350 helmets fitting that criteria, and that's just Revzilla. In previous videos, I've always stressed researching the laws governing your college destination. I'm putting a link in the description to a site that summarizes all the state helmet laws. At this time, there are 18 states with universal helmet laws. A universal helmet law means everyone must wear a helmet. There are states that require helmets for anyone under 18. Others draw the line at 19 or 20, 21, maybe 26. Sometimes that's tied to whether you have insurance or not, or the length of time a driver has had their motorcycle license. For some states, the driver is required to wear a helmet, the passenger is not. As you can see, the helmet laws are definitely a patchwork. So you'll need to check both your home state and the state where your student will be attending school if it's different, because it's highly likely your student's going to want to ride when they're home during the summer. And now we come to the differences between what's required by a law and what's required by you. As I said, helmets are the single piece of equipment most likely to prevent serious brain damage or possible death in case of an accident. Even though the law may not require a helmet, as a parent, you can make the wearing of a helmet a requirement of yours in order for your student to get a motorcycle, should you choose to do so. Now let's talk about the helmets. Helmets are more than just safety gear. They can be a form of individual expression. Helmet style may also change depending on the motorbike or the type of riding for an individual. Let's start with the 4 main categories of helmets: half helmets, open face or 3/4 helmets, modular, and full face. A half helmet. The half helmet is exactly what it says it is. It's a helmet that covers the top half of your head. They're typically the minimum coverage for legal helmets. Because they provide minimum coverage, they tend to be popular with riders who prefer not to wear a helmet, but they're in a state that requires one. The open face or 3/4 helmet. These are what a lot of people think of when they think of motorcycle helmets. If you're looking at it from the side, they're open from about 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So it covers about 3/4 of your head, hence the name three-quarter helmet. These will likely have things like snap-on visors and things of that nature. Next, we're going to do full-faced helmets, which are pretty self-descriptive. They cover your entire head, including your face. And that brings us to modular helmets. These may also be called flip helmets because the chin portion of the helmet can be flipped up. That means you could wear one of these with the chin portion flipped up when you're going at slow speeds, and then flip it down for full face protection when you're on the highway or something. It also means you can flip it up while you're refueling your motorcycle or possibly getting something to eat or drink. Modular and full face helmets also provide the most protection against noise because they're enclosed. Noise is something all riders battle, which comes from the traffic, the engine, wind, things like that. And prolonged exposure to unabated noise levels when riding can damage hearing over the long term. Full face and modulars also provide the most protection from bugs, flying rocks, weather, and so forth. So now some of this is going to depend on the type of bike and the riding. For example, on a 49cc motor scooter, noise isn't going to be as much of an issue, although bugs and weather still remain. In general, the minimum certification required on a helmet is DOT, which will have a sticker that looks something like this. Notice I said minimum. Personally, I like something that goes beyond minimum for my brain bucket. Other certifications a helmet may have in addition to the DOT cert are ECE. ECE is the European Economic Commission standard, which is now a global benchmark for helmets. Another one would be the SNELL certification. The SNELL is considered to be on par with the ECE 22.06 standard, which is the most current one here in early June of 2026. And lastly, there's the FIM standard. Now, this is MotoGP kind of stuff. That means they're probably going to be a little pricey, but they do typically look pretty cool. Certifications are upgraded periodically, which means you may see some overlap. For example, the current ECE standard is 22.06, but 22.05 was the standard up until just a couple of years ago. So you may find discounted helmets out there with the older certification. It's not a bad helmet. Remember, these were top-of-the-line helmets just a year or two ago. And even if they're an older ECE, SNELL, or FIM certification, they're still going to exceed DOT requirements. My opinion is if you're going to splurge on anything, make it a helmet. If possible, I would start by going someplace like a dealership or motorcycle gear shop where they have a selection of helmets available. Places like Cycle Gear, J&P Cycles, and so forth. That gives you a chance to try on different brands and styles. It also gives you access to people in the store who can answer your helmet questions. Dealerships typically have some helmets, although not quite as many as a gear store. But if that's what you have available, make use of it. If you don't have a place where you can go try them on, reputable online retailers such as Revzilla, Champion Helmets, and so forth provide good instruction for how to measure your head for fitment, and they will typically allow you to return an unused helmet if the one you initially picked doesn't fit when it arrives. And different brands will fit differently. So just because a medium Arai helmet fits you, that doesn't mean that a medium Sedici is going to fit you the same way. Now, there is a limit to these returns. You can't just order a dozen different helmets and ship back all but one. If you want, you can get helmets with really cool graphics like this. If you're having a discussion with your student because you want them to wear a helmet and they don't want to because you live in a state where it's not required, Try finding a really cool one they would enjoy wearing simply because it looks cool. At the same time, your student's going to be living with this helmet day in and day out for the next 3 to 5 years. So, cool needs to be something that's cool for 3 to 5 years. Now, that doesn't have to mean expensive. For example, here's an HJC helmet that's only $150, brand new. Compare that to this Arai Corsair 30th anniversary helmet that goes for over $1,000. Obviously, there are awful lot of choices in between. Revzilla alone has almost 500 graphic full face helmets. Here's the bottom line. What's the best helmet for your student? If they're going to be in a place where helmets are not legally required, the best helmet is the one your student will wear. Whether it's a full face, open face, half helmet, whatever, if they'll wear it, it's better than going without one. You can buy the best helmet in the world, but if it's on the floor in their bedroom, it ain't doing no good. Your challenge is finding something they like. Because if it's not legally required, the way they're going to wear it is if it looks cool. Now, if you live in a state where it is legally required, the discussion's much easier. You're now just trying to come to an agreement on which helmet you both like. But whatever you do, I highly recommend lid your kid. There's one video left in my college commuting and transportation series where we'll be covering the remainder of the year. You can spend a whole lot of money on motorcycle gear if you're not careful. We're going to take a look at some of the things that I consider to be the basics for campus commuting. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss it. Meanwhile, thanks for stopping here, and we'll talk next time. Bye, y'all.